In my line of work, this happens to me all the time. Someone from a C-suite team or a senior manager comes to me and says, how do I train employees to have a difficult conversation?
No one's coming to save me!
If you're an executive, or if you work with a team that you think avoids really hard conversations, and if you want to change that dynamic, this video is for you. Wherever educated, smart, and hardworking employees are working together, there are bound to be needs for difficult conversations.
I think you're kind of rude.
So, if you're in a workplace where there are never difficult conversations, let me just say, something is amiss.
No.
Alternately, maybe you're in a workplace where every conflict is toxic, where there's a meltdown.
You strike me as the sort of person that had a hard time in high school.
And if that's your workplace, then this video is also for you. I'm Bob Bordone, a senior fellow at Harvard Law School and the founder and former director of Harvard Law School's Negotiation and Mediation Clinical Program. I've been teaching, writing, and coaching on difficult conversations since I began teaching at Harvard Law School in 1998, and I'm also the founder and a principal at the Cambridge Negotiation Institute. By the end of this video, you'll learn my advice for how to best train your employees to have difficult conversations, and also the main missteps to avoid. When I'm hired by a manager or an executive to help them and the members of their company improve in their capacity to deal with conflict, one of the sure signs of a problem is when I hear them say something like, we don't really have difficult conversations here. Now, is it possible that this workplace is utopia? Maybe. It's unlikely though. What's much more likely is that there are hard conversations that need to happen, but they're being avoided. Usually what happens instead is there's a lot of workplace gossip or character assassination at like the happy hour on Friday night, or the way it shows up is in high levels of turnover or burnout or stress.
Okay, you know what? I don't think your mother would appreciate you speaking to me in that way.
Similarly, right, if there's a lot of open warfare in the workplace, something is wrong. So, if you're trying to train employees to have these kinds of difficult conversations, there's some important steps you can make to make the training stick and make things work.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
First, commit yourself and all members of the management team to be a full part of any kind of training you might establish.
Coming, or do I just keep, driving straight?
All too often, I have found well-meaning execs invest lots of time, money, and lip service to the idea of having their teams be better at difficult conversations, but they themselves don't invest in it.
You think I need your help?
The excuses I've heard are variable. Things like, I've already been trained, or people tell me I'm really good at this, or, I'm just too busy for this training.
What? Why are we having this conversation?
Quite apart from whether these or other similar explanations are accurate, my counsel is the same. Commit yourself and your team to whatever training you're going to offer your employees. And make sure your employees know this. Why? First, all the leadership literature tells us that good modeling matters. If you say something is important and then you don't model it yourself, you're undermining the work and the investment you're making.
I'd argue that moment happens daily.
Training your employees to have difficult conversation is going to involve a meaningful investment of their time and of the organization's money. Once you consider that investment, it should persuade you that the marginal investment of your and your leadership team's time and engagement is really worth it. It's also the case that the ROI, the return on investment of capacity building your team to handle difficult conversations better, is substantial. You'll have reduced turnover, happier staff, more creativity, less tension, and better health.
You're joking.
I wish I was joking.
Secondly, my work and experience consistently tell me that people struggle most with having difficult conversations with their superiors. It's also the case that even the most self-aware and compassionate supervisors have blind spots in the way they come across to others.
It's a new feeling for me, and I don't find it at all pleasurable.
Their view of how they come across to others is often inaccurate, and it's inaccurate in a very specific way. They tend to downplay how intimidating they seem to other people. In other words, senior managers and execs, even those who think of themselves as really approachable, are often perceived by subordinates as being difficult to approach and as wielding far more power than they actually do.
I know things have been tough lately, but I'm here for you.
So participating in any training initiative not only shows your commitment to the training of your employees, there's a decent likelihood that even if you are good at the craft, you will actually learn something that's useful to you in your work and in your organization.
Wow, that was really beautiful.
Second, provide folks the resources and support to get the training they need to improve in difficult conversations. Now, depending on the nature of your organization, this could be done in any number of ways. For example, in my own work, I've been hired by organizations to hold 1 or 2 day difficult conversations workshops, sometimes on-site, sometimes off-site for the client. A workshop like this can be really effective. The workshop should include a combination of elements. Some of it should be didactic in the form of an interactive lecture, hopefully from someone really entertaining, like me. Some should be skills driven, so using a simulation that participants can affiliate with, but one that's abstracted enough that they can practice the skills without getting bogged down and mired in the details of the right answer, or getting sucked into a debate with their colleagues about some past set of events. Finally, some part of the training should provide a low-risk opportunity for employees to get practice on a real-life difficult conversation that either they need to have and have been avoiding, or maybe one in their real life that went badly in the past, but they could cull some insights from. As someone who teaches difficult conversations and who believes that these skills are critical to leadership and also really hard to master, I always want to persuade companies that hiring me for a 2-day program is a really good use of time and resources.
Ah, see?
No, see?
When that's not possible, I think a full-day program can also be worthwhile. Truth be told though, I think a 2 or 3 hour program is hardly worth offering. Learning how to do this well is really hard work. Creating a program that is just a check the box is barely worth doing at all. And sometimes I think it gives difficult conversations training a bad name because people leave thinking like, I know how to do this. And the first time it goes badly, they're like, this is a total waste of time.
Okay, why would I do that?
And so this leads to my third piece of advice on the topic. Provide follow-up opportunities for continuing learning. So learning how to ride a bike has a one and done aspect to it that is just not the same for difficult conversations.
David, the pedals make it move more.
If you really want your team to learn how to have difficult conversations, you need to provide the support, the follow-up, and the learning opportunities after an initial training. So if you're spending time, energy, and money on some kind of training program, make sure you build in a follow-up, perhaps 6 to 10 weeks after the program. This could be an opportunity for people to come together and report what's working, what's hard, and to see what learning gaps they might have.
What was that?
What was that?
Even better, if your learning resources allow, providing an optional follow-up where employees can avail themselves of maybe 1 to several hours of one-on-one coaching and support can make a real difference in improving their skill levels. Some of the clients I've had where employees report feeling most supported are those where, in addition to the opportunity to receive training, the company has offered them an additional one-on-one optional support and coaching. Whatever it is you choose to do, make sure it's well thought out and consider it part of an overall effort to build a conflict-resilient and healthy work culture.
You know, I've been wondering that myself.
Fourth, lower the stakes for missteps. Inevitably, as you offer training and support for your employees to have difficult conversations with you, with each other, and with their own direct reports, they are going to be making mistakes.
It was just a little hard to understand, so I want a record of it.
A well-intentioned effort to discuss bias in the workplace might actually lead to more hurt feelings. An effort to address problems in the way employees put in requests for vacation might actually spark more complaints rather than less. When issues like this come up, keep a few things in mind. First, having difficult conversations is hard, really, really hard. When I train students in negotiation and difficult conversations, I always make a comparison to baseball. So the very best baseball hitters in baseball maybe bat around 350 or 400. Now, for those of you who are not baseball fans, what that means is they are hitting the ball and getting on base about 35 or 40% of the time. That means they are missing like 60 to 65% of the time. And to be clear, these are the very best hitters in baseball. I think the same is true for the best of us in difficult conversations. So if you want training to work, you have to create that space for people to make mistakes. You have to accept and expect mistakes. That means being approachable yourself. It means being vulnerable yourself. It means really modeling, giving, and receiving feedback. And this leads to my second point in missteps. Create a culture of learning and psychological safety. Harvard Business School professor Amy Edmondson has written extensively on cultures that have psychological safety. Psychological safety is the shared belief held by members of a team that others on the team will not embarrass, reject, or punish you for speaking up.
In case you didn't know, I'm wildly popular. Some might even venture to call me beloved.
Again, this work starts with good modeling at the top. I've done a lot of work with an amazing nonprofit called Seeds of Peace. Seeds of Peace offers dialogue and leadership development programs for young leaders in Israel, Palestine, Afghanistan, India, Pakistan, and the United States. When facilitating with these courageous young people, we often establish a ground rule called be raggedy. What does it mean to be raggedy? It's a tacit agreement that if someone in the group wants to express something, but is struggling to find the right words, the others in the group will extend to them an added measure of grace so that they can say what is on their mind in the best way they can, with the promise that if it lands in the wrong way, someone else in the group will first be courageous to say it has landed badly, but secondly, extend an extra measure of generosity that it came from a place of good intentions.
Okay, there are certain lies I tell myself, and if you're any kind of a friend, you will let me cling to those lies.
In my own work, I use the permission to be raggedy rule all the time, and it's incredibly powerful. I've used it so many times when helping adults and organizations work through difficult conversations. After I introduce this idea, at some point in a conversation, I'll hear someone say, may I have permission to be raggedy? Everyone leans in, and the speaker shares something really tough, but it's always received generously, even if it also provokes some anger. The point here is the more you can shift your organizational culture by expecting mistakes, by promoting psychological safety, by creating an atmosphere where people can have permission to feel raggedy, the more the investment in the training, coaching, and support will pay off. And the better your employees get at having difficult conversations, the happier, the healthier, the more resilient, and the more creative your workforce will be.
Ah, now that is what I call a beautiful morning.
If you were an organization of avoidance, after the trainings, you're going to see more difficult conversations pop up, and that's a good thing. If you were an organization that was toxic, you're going to see more generative and learning-orienting difficult conversations take the place of recrimination and poison.
Well, don't look at me. I'm pretty sure she already knows it's a mistake.
If you're considering training your employees in difficult conversations, or you think your organization could use help in this regard, please reach out to me at bobbordone.com or through the Cambridge Negotiation Institute. I could help create tailored programs and support for your workplace to develop these capacities. If you've made it to the end, great work, and keep on watching. There's more fun stuff ahead.